and welcome to the Intellectual Idiots. What are we, week 12? And I think we got to start out the episode today giving a little bit of props to Max for his Jordan Love calls since the beginning. Max has had faith, very, very diligent faith since the beginning, telling people to have faith in Jordan Love and that he will be a good quarterback. And this week, we saw that. The man, obviously, we've seen the stats, almost identical to Aaron Rodgers in his start of his career. He looks extremely poised. I mean, the man has the most 30-yard plus completions in the NFL right now, and he's doing it all with receivers that are all under 24 years old. Jaden Reed's looked incredible. Watson finally stepped up last week. Dobbs is looking good. You got Musgrave. I mean, we had tons of injuries this week, and we still looked amazing, as an offense that just rolled. Love is poised. He's confident. He's got the arm talent. I mean, he's got all the angle throws. He can run. He's athletic. I think it's time to say that we're a little excited as Packer fans. We are.
He looked like Aaron Rodgers out there last week.
A little bit, yeah.
The throws he was making, insane. And like you said, 17 players on the IL.
It's ridiculous, especially your Aaron Jones, Musgrave, two really big guys to our offense.
Aaron Jones, Musgrave, Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage, Devondre Campbell. These are all starters.
And we beat a team that people are saying is going to win the Super Bowl. The Lions, the Motor City Lions.
We went in to Ford Field and crammed it down the Lions' throat. Beat them down, dominated them, crushed their will for 4 straight quarters. From the first play of the game to the last play of the game, we dominated the Lions, arguably one of the best teams in the NFL in Ford Field. There is a reason why you are seeing the Green Bay Packers playing their best football over the past month. There's a reason for that. And that's because the scheme's starting to work. The players are learning how to play together. The young players are gaining confidence. Jordan Love is understanding his young wide receiving core. We're starting to get a rhythm. Matt LaFleur is trusting Jordan Love more. He's trusting the young receivers more to make plays.
He's finally letting them rip, too. We've got some athletic freaks on our offense, so.
We do. Jaden Reed is special player.
I love the end runs that they do with him. He is so quick.
I just am really loving the way that this team fights. This team is it's a team that you need to have patience with, which we've had to have patience with.
Young and scrappy.
But man, is this team resilient. I mean, what a win. And now you're talking, instead of talking about getting the number 1 overall pick in the draft, you're talking about making the playoffs.
Oh, how the tides have turned.
You're talking about making the playoffs now. What I predicted after we beat the Rams, that we were going to go 8-2 the rest of the way, and our 2 losses were going to be to Pittsburgh and to Kansas City. Did you just put balloons?
I didn't do that. Why are balloons going?
There were balloons on my screen.
Why were there balloons? I have no clue.
You sent the balloons to me.
I didn't touch my computer.
You just ballooned me. But anyway, I predicted 2 losses. The Chiefs and the Steelers in Pittsburgh. So far, we lost to Pittsburgh. We beat Lions, the win that we needed. Now we go to Kansas City, and I'm changing it. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to beat Kansas City. We have them at home. And it's so funny. What was the narrative at the beginning of the year for the first 6 weeks when our receivers couldn't catch any passes? Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur suck.
Mm-hmm.
What is the narrative now in Kansas City when none of their receivers can catch passes? The receivers, Matt LaFleur.
They have no playmakers other than Pacheco. And Rashee Rice has looked good. Obviously, you got the GOAT Kelsey, but it's tough to, roll against the Packers right now.
It is funny, though. With Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and then with Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, when our wide receivers can't catch passes, Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love suck. And when the Chiefs wide receivers can't catch passes, it's the receiver's fault. Because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid will never take the blame for anything because it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, the Chiefs are struggling. They're not playing their best football right now. They did just crush the Raiders, but the
And they'll
Raiders
still make the Super Bowl.
are bad. They will not make the Super Bowl this year. I do not think that they will make the Super Bowl this year.
They're going to make this. Who's going to challenge them in the AFC?
I love my Bills.
I mean, the Ravens, yeah. I think it'll be Ravens, Chiefs. It's not going to be the Dolphins. The Bills might not even, they're not even in the hunt right now for
That
making the.
that segues into the next segment we wanted to talk about, kind of talking about the Eagles Bills game. I was watching that game and I'm rooting for the Bills because I love the Bills. I love Josh Allen, always have. I love Sean McDermott. I love the Bills. I've always been a Bills guy, Bills Mafia, right? But like the Bills have lost inexcusable games that they should never have lost this year. And I think it's going to come back to haunt them. How did they lose to the Jets?
Kind of at their plateau. We've talked about this in the beginning of the year with this. McDermott, they plateaued. They're not going to go much further with him. I mean, their offense is rolling. It's just they can't win close games. Their defense just gives up touchdown after touchdown after touchdown.
Isn't their defense like one of the best defenses in the NFL, though?
No, I wouldn't. No, definitely not. I think they're letting up over 315 yards per game right now. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess technically they're 10th in yards allowed.
Okay. So,
And
I mean, I just, I'm frustrated with the Bills because, like, and I think if I was a Bills fan, I'd be pissed.
they just
Like,
lose all the close games.
the Bills blew that game against the Eagles last night. They blew a couple other games this year. Josh Allen is being way too sloppy with the football. They need to get a running back that they can actually count on. They need to improve up front. The Bills have too many holes to be able to truly compete in the AFC. And I feel like they've gone backwards. Like I feel like
Oh, 100%.
they're not addressing the main concerns that they should have. And I'm just confused by it. Like
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Like we're
I
going
mean,
back.
You can't really argue that James Cook hasn't been good. Like James Cook, when he plays well, other than that drop that he had that would have won them the game, like he's looked pretty damn good. He's averaging almost 5 yards a carry. He's a pretty solid receiver. He's young. Like you
Yeah,
got Diggs, you got Gabe Davis. You pick up a tight end who's the number one tight end in the draft last year, Dalton Kincaid. Like I feel like they're filling the holes. I think it all comes down to just coaching for Josh Allen and not relying on him so much, and then just coaching in these decisions that are just costing them. And they're just losing every game by a couple points.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. And then you got the Eagles on the flip side that can't lose a game if they try. Like I feel like they're trying to lose games. I mean, Jason Kelsey is like getting two false starts penalties back to back to put them out of field goal range, and then Jake Elliott makes a 85-yard field goal to tie the game.
Yeah, in the rain, pouring rain.
They cannot lose. It's like I still feel like Philadelphia has not played their best game of the year. Like they
Yeah,
just
and they're 10-1.
they're sloppy and they're 9-1. They just are dogs.
They're hit double digits.
They're just dogs. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I see anybody beating the Eagles out of the NFC this year. I feel like they're gonna cruise their way back to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
They rematch against the Chiefs, and then we'll have this.
Oh, I thought the Chiefs weren't gonna make it.
I don't think they will.
Who do you think's gonna make it out of the AFC? I mean, really, it's Ravens or Chiefs right now. Who do you think's gonna make it out? Dolphins, the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Oh man,
The
these guys.
Jaguars are fucking good, dude.
Yeah, they're good, but they're not as good as either of those teams.
They're as good as the Chiefs.
You could argue that, I guess, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
They don't have Patrick Mahomes, I will say that. But what are the Chiefs doing this year that like nobody else is doing? I mean, they have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, it has been.
Mahomes hasn't been that great.
It's been Mahomes' worst year statistically, and they really need more weapons on offense.
If
But
you put up Mahomes stats,
Mahomes is still Andy Reid. He's still got the goat.
yeah, true. But if you put up Mahomes stats against Love stats, they're basically the exact same.
Yeah, same with Jalen Hurts. Before, obviously, all of his rushing touchdowns, like they're
Yeah,
pretty damn near identical as well. but Love won't get any praise because he's not Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he won't get any praise because he's just a rookie, and everybody wants him to be bad because he
I
succeeded.
mean, his first year, but not a rookie. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Same with
First,
Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy should be in the MVP conversation, but because he was the last pick, everything gets overshadowed. You know,
Brock,
Brock Purdy's a game manager. He just gets the ball to where it needs to go. Shanahan's system is, obviously it's great, but the man, he's an elite processor on the field. He makes every throw look effortless. He makes every decision in such a good way. I don't know. You look like you're about to defend this in a different way.
no, no, not at all. I agree with you. And I think the thing about Brock Purdy is, too, I mean, the guy's got 19, 20 touchdowns and 5 picks. I mean, you're not just following a system if you're throwing 20 touchdowns.
I mean, he does have arguably the best weapons in the game, but still, he is an elite processor.
Well, we got a mini Debo Samuel now, the Packers do.
Yeah, Jaden Reed.
Aiden Reed, he's our new Debo.
You got Watson. Maybe will finally show up now.
So we do have a little segment that we wanted to chit chat about, and it's coaches on the hot seat. And I wanted to dive into this a little bit to kind of see what we can come up with, but I think that there are a couple other things that we can kind of look at, and a couple different coaches that we can kind of see that are on the hot seat. So I think we could just go back and forth and kind of talk about each coach.
Yeah, I'll go first.
The mindset that I had about this segment. So you can start, Tyler. What coach do you see potentially being on the hot seat?
I think it's clear that Brandon Staley needs to be fired. I mean, he had a public meltdown after the loss to the Packers. I have full confidence in our way of playing, full confidence in myself as the play caller, and the way we teach these guys, and full scheme in that. And he was all defensive, and it just was a really bad look. I think they're now 4-7 after they lost last night's game to the Ravens. The man cannot win a close game. The man makes horrible decisions.
He's a defensive coach.
Yeah, and Colin Cowherd, I think, said it best. He's a guy who really doesn't. He's a very smart guy. He's very well, educated. But I feel like he's a guy who's like a book smart football coach, but he doesn't actually know the game of football, if that makes sense. Like he'll explain it to you in a robotic way, but he doesn't truly understand the game. That's how I feel with him. He's combative lately. He's obviously getting defensive. He's going to lose his job. I mean, he's not getting the best out of Justin Herbert lately. They brought in Khalil Mack. Obviously, Joey Bosa is hurt, but they're just. You would think they'd be better than 4-7, having the talent that they have on offense and on defense. Their defense on paper should be amazing.
This is the Chargers of history. This is what the Chargers do. The Chargers have been doing this for years with King Philip. The Chargers have been doing this for years with King Philip Rivers. Okay? Every year they think they're going to be good. Every year you pick them as a sleeper, and every year they wildly disappoint. And they've done it over and over again for over the past decade. And I'll tell you this, it's so funny too, because they'll go in and lose the games they should never lose and win the games that like you're like, holy crap, the Chargers actually won that game, right? But it's like they're just a bad football team. They're a poorly coached football team. They play sloppy, they play undisciplined, they play like how the Packers were playing in their 4-game losing streak. That's how the Chargers look right now. And right now is when you're playing your best football. If you have a good coach like Matt LaFleur, he's got the Packers right playing their best football. Brandon Staley, Chargers are playing their worst football of the year. They just put up 10 points against the Ravens on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. That's terrible.
It's unexcusable when you have the likes of one of the greatest receivers in the game, Keenan Allen. You've got one of the best running backs in the game, Austin Eckler. You've got, yes, they've had some injuries, but still, when you have guys like that, Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You got to perform.
I will say they probably should have beat the Packers like 42-20. I mean, they dropped
bad coaching.
They dropped like 3 touchdowns. Like Keenan Allen dropped one right here. Like it was bad.
Yeah, that was bad.
But I agree with you. I think that Brandon Staley's got to go. They need some fresh
He's a
blood.
number one. Obviously, Frank Reich, we can talk about that. They've been a disaster. One win. Bryce Young has absolutely showed no development whatsoever. He has looked horrible. They made a monumental stake in not drafting CJ Stroud.
I am in the camp of thinking it's way too early to call Bryce Young a mistake. I think that Bryce Young has a lot of talent. I think that when you surround, look at Trevor Lawrence his first year with Urban Meyer,
Yeah,
disaster of a coach, disaster of a team.
true. You're right.
Like the Panthers are really really bad. They don't
They're
have
in free fall.
they don't have a good receiver, they don't have a good line, and they don't have a good defense. It is almost impossible to have a
You're
rookie
right.
quarterback succeed in that situation. If
Uh,
you look at the Texans, really quick, if you look at the Texans and CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryan, beast of a coach, a beast. And I knew they were going to get that right when they hired D'Amico Ryan. I knew he was going to be a good coach. Number two, they have talent on offense and defense. But I will say D'Amico Ryan has coached his ass
I'll
off.
challenge you on that. If you think about what we thought of before the year started, we both thought that neither of those teams had true wide receiver talent. CJ Stroud is making Tank Dell, and Nico Collins, who, I mean, no one would have thought they'd be this good, making them look like they're superstars. I mean, CJ Stroud is in the MVP conversation.
Yeah. I mean, CJ Stroud is, I think he's better. I do. But I do think it's too early to call Bryce Young a mistake. That's all I'm saying. I do think
Okay.
CJ Stroud is better. I think that what he has done this year is it's remarkable. But I do think that CJ Stroud is better, but I do think it's too early to call Bryce Young a mistake. Quarterback that I think needs to go.
Quarterback or coach?
Coach, sorry. I hate to say it. I do. But Riverboat Ron. It's time. It's time
Yeah.
for Riverboat Ron to be shipped down the Nile and never to return again in his boat.
Where'd
Because
you come up with Riverboat Ron?
what?
Where'd you come up with Riverboat Ron?
That's been a nickname. I feel like that's been a nickname for him for a long time, no?
Okay, okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Riverboat Ron. It's time for him to be done. I like Riverboat. He's been I feel like he's been a good coach in this league. He took the Panthers to a Super Bowl. But again, he's never gotten over the hump. I mean, I feel like he's had quite a bit of talent that's passed
Not
through.
really.
Yeah, some good defense and
The Commanders don't have true talent. It's just I feel like they just need to go in a different direction. Like they're already kind of at a parting of ways where like, I guess we'll keep him another year. But Sam Howell's developed into an awesome looking quarterback, a guy who they can finally, look into the future for. I mean, think about how many quarterbacks they've had between Kirk Cousins and now. I think it's 13. Sam Howell finally looks to be the answer. You can give him that. Like
well, I thought
he's
Taylor Heineke was
succeeded.
the
He's
answer.
succeeded in that. So
So
there's something.
Chase Young, that's a tough pill to swallow with him being gone. I just think it's time for the
It's
good old.
a new chapter for Riverboat Ron.
All right, before we wrap up this episode, give me one more.
Belichick?
Belichick just got the bag, dude. Belichick ain't going nowhere.
Dude, I'll tell you what. They're an absolute disaster. Their wide receivers dropping balls left and right. Mac Jones looks like a nervous Nelly out there who literally can't make a decision. He's turning the ball over left and right. Bailey Zappi sucks. Their whole team sucks.
Bill Belichick
And
doesn't need to be fired as a head coach. He needs to be
is it
fired as a general manager.
is it time to move on from Bill? Take a new, younger direction. I mean, Mac Jones has a complete shell of himself right now. I feel so bad. You see him in interviews. He's like, "Oh yeah, hey Mac, why'd they bench you today? Oh yeah, I'm just not doing really well, and I don't blame him for taking me out." It's like it's depressing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, tough look for the Patriots. They're a free falling disaster. They're arguably the worst team in the NFL, and I mean their quarterback situation is abysmal. Again, I don't think Belichick needs to be fired. I think that they need to find a true general manager. I mean, Belichick cannot be the head coach
Yeah,
and general manager. He's a terrible general manager. My last
and
person,
get rid of
Matt Eberflus. See you later. Go another Bears coach getting the axe. See you later,
Yeah.
Eberflus. You've done
We'll
nothing.
see how they do tonight. We'll see how they do tonight. Maybe they have a good game with Fields because they've looked good yet last week with Fields.
That's all the time we have today for the pod. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Remember, subscribe on YouTube, like us on Spotify or whatever the hell it is.
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you. The intellectual idiots are rolling out.
Oh.
Cheers.